lungs taste the air of time blown past fallen sand.
Went to see Exmoor at the weekend, and they were hosting Diana, who's the traveling sellsword, and David was there too. And they're essentially doing what's called the Hobo Tour, where they're sort of going around different clubs all over well, they're in the UK at the moment. They just went back to Germany, I think, today. And they were basically teaching some little lessons from it. David's was all sort of stage combat stuff, how to sort of like make... use HEMA moves within stage combat to make it look realistic, which was cool. But today I'm going to be taking you through the stuff Diana taught me, which is quite cool. So we've got that thing, fühlen, which is in the bind. So if we've got, when you are engaging in a bind, you're obviously wrestling for position. The ultimate goal being obviously to push their blade out of the way, to thrust in and take advantage of that. But just before that happens, there's a bit here where you're wrestling for position, and you're really utilizing the weak and the strong and the sort of mechanics of the blade and the leverage involved, okay? And so a lot of the time, this procedure here is over in a matter of seconds because, one of us will gain position and then use it and monopolize on that and kill the other person in the fight, okay? But what we were doing yesterday was essentially staying in this bind and working with it in terms of like how it actually feels in the bind and sort of like where you actually want to position your hands and react to the different sort of like pressures and leverages that are going on there. So the first thing we're going to do isn't going to use the swords just yet. What I want you to do is put the sword down for a moment. And I want you to pair up. Cool. So here's how this is going to work. Kieran, come here a sec. You're my demo buddy. What we did is teamed up, and essentially the first part of this, I'm just going to take you through it in the stages that I was shown, okay? All I'm going to do is I'm going to apply pressure on parts of Kieran to sort of move him around, and all he has to do is move away as I'm pushing him, okay? So he's not going to resist, he's not going to push back against it. As I push him, he's going to move that direction, and when I change the point I'm pushing him, he's going to move again. So if I'm pushing him this way, he's going to move that way. If I pull here, he's going to pull back, and you can turn on the spot, and you can choose any point of leverage on their body to turn them with, and all they're trying to do is react to that and move around, okay? So all you're going to do for now is that, and you're essentially just moving their body around by just placing your hand on them and pushing them. You don't have to shove them, it doesn't have to be too hard, and that's all you're going to do right now, okay? So take it in turns, one of you first. You get the person who's just being sort of moved around a little bit, and all they're trying to do is just flow with that sort of like pressure that's put on them in the point. And then we're going to swap sides and do it again with them, okay? And then we've got another bit we're going to go into in just a sec. So you don't need to just walk everywhere either. You can just turn on the spot. This isn't just about being shoved around the room. It's about moving your body around. So you can grab hips, you can grab knees. Just no grabbing boxes, please. Take it really slow. It's going to get a whole lot weirder in a minute, so don't. Yes! Okay, and hold. So get yourself your space again. What we're going to do next is we're going to do the exact same thing, but the person being pushed is going to be blindfolded. Okay? No, tie on yourself, you're a big boy.
Done it perfectly.
Over your eyes, please. So I literally made a bunch for today, so you've got a spare one. It's just a piece of fabric is all. Right, cool. So what we're going to do now, and there's going to be no talking in this one. So Dan, walk towards me a little bit. Yeah, that's good. And just close your eyes underneath the blindfold, no peeking. Okay, same deal again. The other person, without communicating, I don't want you to make any noise while moving around them. You're just going to be doing the same one where you're going to be placing your hand on them and pushing them around like this, okay? And that's all you're going to be doing for a second, and I'm going to tell you to change it up in just a little bit, but that's all we're going to be doing. is this stuff again, okay? And all they have to do is flow with that movement, okay? That's all you're trying to do for right now. So, blindfolded people, blind yourself. Partners, dance. Don't let them walk into walls and things. Like, you're in control of where they're going to stand. And people who are getting pushed, don't walk around like the entire hall. Turn, move, flow. Okay, and hold. How does that feel? Apart from disorientating as hell. Yeah, you can unblind yourself, fold yourself now. We're going to swap.
It's all a mix of like airbending training and deprivation tank.
Yeah.
Sensory.
Cool. So like, stick with it for a minute because there's a method to this madness. When you're ready, cool. Carry on. Karen. Okay, and hold. So what we're going to do now, unblind yourself for a second. Yeah. So next element of this, we're going to swap again this time, but this time, instead of it just being a giving way, so Dan, if you come over here, if you're pushing me on the shoulder there like that, you can, every now and again, the person who's blindfolded resist, okay? Just stop short and don't let them push you any further, and then that person has to alter their bind and push you a different way, okay? So like, go with the flow, and then every now and again, just stop dead and resist against it, push back against it, and make the other person then have to alter their direction of push. And the person who are doing the pushing, so like, Dan, if I'm pushing you and you resist there, obviously try and choose the area that would be the least resistance from there, okay? So when they sort of like base themselves out and they sort of like resist against you, push them on the area that you think where they would yield in, okay? So like have a look at how they're stood and you can break their structure, push on that area, okay? So the people who are just doing the pushing, blindfold up. And when you're ready, proceed. Hi, Jake.
Say hi. Say hello.
Okay, and hold. Right, so that seems super weird, right? So on the outside looking in, when you started off, to start with, you're just sort of like wandering around and turning and sort of aimlessly moving around while being pushed. Then we introduced the resistance, and it was more of that, but every now and again you stopped. But by the end of it, you were all basically bracing out, and you were treating it as if you were in different sort of like postures and guards where you were trying to resist force from a certain direction. So you started off sort of wandering around aimlessly and turning around. And by the end of it, you were all doing this. And you were sort of basing out, and you were actually sort of like making yourself structured, so you were resisting that force, okay? And that's what we're going to do next, is we're going to basically combine what you've just done into blade work, okay? So we need to grab your swords, and we're going to go over what we're doing next. You need a sword. Look after her, or I will have to kill you. All right, cool. So here's what we're going to do now. We are essentially, I want you to get so that you're within measure. So you're just sort of touching one another on the chest, and then take like a step back, okay? Okay, so you're gonna now bind the blades in the middle. And for now, I just want you to please do a little bit of binding work where you're sort of sliding the blades up and down. So like I showed you earlier with Kieran, so you're out of range, you can actually hit each other, and I just want you to sort of wrestle for position a little bit and slowly, don't do it too aggressively, and so you can cut the rows and come underneath, you can wind, do all the different maneuvers you would do if you were fighting for position with the blade, okay? I'll cycle you through. Yep. Basically, I went to the Exmoor HEMA guys yesterday and saw them. They were hosting the Hobo Tour. More gently. You're not trying to blast each other's blades. You're jockeying for position while being in contact in the bind. Better. You're trying to get the point on line, Chris. Gently, please.
And move it to the other side
Chris.
as well.
Chris, don't step either. You've stepped into measure again. You're out of measure. You need to be here, and you need to stay here. Do not move your feet. So you're doing this, and you're wrestling, but you're trying to get your point there. Right. So it's pointing at him, okay? It's going to be an arm workout. And essentially, there's a girl called Diana who's the German sellsword, traveling around teaching people HEMA stuff. And she did a lesson, essentially. Like, they were traveling around Europe at the moment doing lessons. I did a bit with her. And the guy from Sellsword Arts, David Miller, was there as well. He was teaching stage choreography. It would have been up your street, actually.
Yeah,
there's
a guy in Barbican Theatre fighting it.
Yeah. Hold. So it's really important when you're doing this that you are staying out of measure. So I'm saying, like, you just stand upright and you're just playing with the blade. You're not actually trying to touch the person. You're not actually trying to score any points, okay? I don't want to see this. And I certainly don't want to see this. The whole point here is that if you skip over the blade, you're not going to hit them. That's the whole point of this, okay? Because if you are doing this, you're doing this. If I slip, I'm going to hit him in the face, and I do not want that, okay? It's desperately important you stay exactly where you're stood, and you do not hinge forwards, okay? We're not actually trying to fight here. The objective here isn't to stab the person. We are just exercising within the bind, okay? That's all we're trying to do here. So check your measure and make sure you don't get too close to one another. Hey, Jake, do you want to swap with Chris for a sec? Yeah, because you're trying to get in for that kill.
He also trying to keep his point.
Basically, you're both jockeying for the bind, yeah.
Yeah, so you want your point to be online, not just...
Yeah. Take it down a little notch. Just take it a little slower, okay? Because at the moment, you're doing it as in you're desperately trying to get into position to get your thrust in, which is fine if you're in a fight. Right now, what we're practicing is that feeling that you get, the feeling, okay? So I want you to slow it down a little bit. A little less aggressive, a little less energy involved. Right. That's the principle of it. Now things are going to get crazy because one of you is going to be blindfolded while doing that, okay? Now the purpose of this is this. The person who is not blindfolded, you're the one who's going to be leading the exercise. The other person is reacting to what you do with the blade, okay? You're, as the person who can see, going to make sure you keep the distance. You, as the person who can see, if their point gets too high, which it will, and it happens a lot, you're going to stop them. And if you say stop a sec, they need to put their blade up, and you bring their blade to where it needs to be, and then re-engage the bind, okay? And the way they were doing it was to re-engage, so you stand out of measure, and you go, Marco, and they go, Polo, and so when they can hear you, they can sort of like move their blade to where it's going to be in the bind, okay? So as long as they know, you can make a noise, whatever it needs. It doesn't need to be Marco Polo, it can be anything. But the point is that if he's blindfolded, close your eyes a sec, he can't see me, and he's not going to know where I am. So it's important I do make sure I take the sort of like responsibility for that. Here, I'm not in danger because I'm not close enough to him. And if he brings his blade back up and I say, Marco, Okay, he's now in the bind. So if I start then doing this bind work, it's my responsibility here. If he steps towards me by accident, is to step away, okay? To keep the distance, and you're going to take it nice and slow, and your job as the person who can see is to resist them and to work within the bind. And if he gets too high like that, you can just stop it, bring the blade back down, and then carry on, okay? The point here is you're trying to keep their blade level with you, point on with you, and to basically like keep pushing against it from different angles and wrestle with them in the bind, okay? Then give them a chance to try and do that in a way that they can't see, so they're relying entirely on their sense of touch, which is the point of this, okay? So, blindfold yourself. Blindfold yourself. All right, if you blindfold yourself, I'll grab a nylon. We'll go from there.
I keep putting it up here and then you just let it go. Whoop.
Please don't call me that. Okay, blade out in front of you. Yeah, grab the point and direct it. Don't bother trying to explain it to him. He can't do that. You need to just grab his point and move it for him. Okay, and hold. You can take your blindfold off.
Yes.
Feels weird, right?
I
So-
that to the other one.
Yeah,
It's so instinctual.
yeah,
Like you literally like you can't do anything. So it's like, no, I'm gonna no.
yeah.
That's not working. Yeah, no.
So what we're going to do, we're going to swap now. If you've got a blindfold. How you do? I'm going to grab...
You feel a lot right now. Whoa, that was outside my comfort zone.
In the dark.
Yeah.
What's wrong with that? Luke Skywalker makes it look cool. I look like a jackass.
Yeah, but he's a space wizard, yeah. Yeah, he's a space wizard.
He also doesn't have a giant glowing stick.
Yeah, yeah.
Speak for yourself.
I shall.
That just has the autism boogie.
It's a superpower. Hey, Ethan, if you take a couple of steps forwards, mate, you're not in that corner. That's backwards, isn't it? That's to the side. About there, yeah. Cool.
Yeah, I just
Cool.
be, close to the camera.
Yeah, we're not doing that, are we? You've not been paying attention to the exercise, have you? Right, blindfolded people, put your blindfolds down. You want to be, yeah, about there. That's fine. Cool. You put your sword out in front of you. Okay, carry on when you're ready.
Do you want to swap to the metal blade?
What's up?
Do you want to swap to your metal blade?
No, I was doing this all yesterday, mate. This is more for you than it is for me. I'll allow you to hold it for a second.
Let me reset.
Okay, and hold. So when you deprive your main sense that you're using, which is sight, and you're relying entirely on just how it feels. So the point of this is to get you engaged with the idea of that you can sense your opponent's sort of angle of attack just through the pressure they put on your blade. And this is going to be useful because when you're in an actual full speed fight, you don't always have time to sort of register just with seeing what your opponent's going to do. And sometimes if you've just parried, you're in the process of blinking anyway, so your eyes aren't even open. And if you can sort of like hone in your ability to feel in the blade what the person's planning to do. It's no different than when people are sort of wrestling in jiu-jitsu. You can sort of feel what the person's about to do. Where they're basing themselves, where they're about to put their angle of attack, and you have a better chance of then trying to resist that. And the point of what we're doing here is to sort of demonstrate that you can, and most of you who could see will notice that the person goes from a little bit of all over the place to they start honing in to that center line. And even though they cannot see the person that they're trying to thrust against, they can get their point online and they can resist your attempts to sort of push them offline, even though they cannot see. And that is through basically, you can sense through your blade the motions they're going to do, okay? So we're going to do the final part of this exercise now, and we're going to do one pair at a time because you're both going to be blindfolded. Volunteers, okay. 2. Who wants to go first? Okay. Kieran, Jake? I'll be, Dan, you can sit out and compose yourself for a second if you want, or you want to be the guy who's responsible for death. Yeah. So, no, you're not going to need them.
So it's still staying.
Exactly the same stuff, yeah. All right. So get yourselves in measure. You obviously couldn't see. So for me and you, Ethan, if you see him like getting a bit close or anything, we just say hold, and then we're going to basically go in and we'll control their blades back to where it needs to be. Okay. So it'll just be nice and slow like you were doing. Don't move forwards. Don't hinge. Okay. So if you put
keep an eye on my posture, because if I'm going to do anything, it's going to be this.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on it. Yeah. Just try and stay upright as best you can. So blind yourself, please, gentlemen. And blades forwards. Engage.
I don't know where he's gone.
Hold. Engage. Karen, you lean. Yeah, there you go. You got 'em. Hold a sec. Jake, you're hinging forwards a little bit, mate. Yeah. You good? And hold a sec. So you're both pointing your blades are basically sort of like a full head above each other. There, your points are on line. And hold. So again, you've both moved all the way up again. It's easy to do.
Yeah.
So you want to be there. That's where your points are.
Yeah. Just so low.
You're on line.
That's a lot of work.
Yeah, it's way low.
Engage. Is that door open? Yeah, shut it through now.
Good life motto, that.
Double leg takedown. Take him to the ground now.
Some people have like a good aim, good voice, and a bad voice, just like that.
If you blind yourselves, put your swords out from here, I'll just put them in place.
Oh, I feel incredibly off to the right there. I'm just gonna.
Here you go.
Oh, you still holding on to it?
No, I tied them together.
I felt something fleshy, and I was like, why isn't it making a sound?
No, I know, it's not moving.
Right. No fuckery this time. You're good to go.
Just be wary of that finger when you're on the...
I'm more worried about this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all puts his finger on it and then Kieran like runs down blade.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's because when I'm doing that, I'm doing the.
Yeah. Keep you not got gloves on. Don't thumb the blade. Carry on.
There we go.
Right. If anyone wants to have a go at doing that blindfolded with gear on, now's the time.
It's definitely an interesting exercise.
So like I think the point of it was definitely to sort of like get you more aware of the fact that there's more than just what you see. You know, a lot of it is to do with what you feel as well, and like it's something I've sort of taken for granted for sure. She told me I had to be more lazy with it as well, because like I was really like stiff and I was desperately trying to just resist and be strong in that bind. But she was like, if you slacken your dominant hand off, the one nearest the top of the blade, and just let the blade flow, and then sort of work out which angles you need to take to sort of like make most of leverage and the mechanics of it.
The problem is when I've been doing that, I'm realizing that a lot of what I do when I work by is a lot of step work in it as well.
Yeah.
So I'm just standing there without doing any step work. So
Yeah.
because of my thing,
Yeah. I think for this one, just to save the dicking around, is just put your masks on and close your eyes, because the actual headbands are going to slide off the second you put your mask on. So just do a trust fall. No, we'll just go for another couple of minutes and then we'll go into sparring. Okay? Eyes closed down. With this one, you can thrust through if you want. Okay? You're in full gear. We're just going to treat it as if we're wrestling for position, going to thrust. Try and keep your eyes closed as best you can. Okay? I was like, I could just step. You're fighting God, I'm down here. Thank you.
You can step. Okay.
Yeah, you're allowed to step in and strike now. Yeah, you're both on line there.
Cool.
And
Here we go.
right down the side of his mask. Both fencing gone a little bit there. Kieran, hold a sec. Just open your eyes. You're thrusting over here. When you're ready, fence. Nice. Good work. All right, cheers, guys. So that's what I was taught, minus the fencing bit. We didn't do the masks at the end because we kind of ran out of time. We just did the blindfolded no sword bit. But I think essentially that's supposed to sort of like put a spotlight on fühlen, the actual like feel within the blade when you're in bind work. And when you're fencing next, have a go at it. As you sort of like see if it changes how you react and, you know, get interacted with while you're doing it. I hope you enjoyed that. That was what I learned. And thanks Exmoor HEMA for like inviting me to that. That was pretty cool. Yeah, no worries. Let's get fencing.